This is just a bit of stream of consciousness I recorded to like test my new mic, and I put some footage of Evolve in the background because I figure why not talk about one soon to be dead game while showing off another actually dead game. I've got a new mic, so I'm going to test it out, and so I'm going to talk about Overwatch and how Overwatch is a shit game. I know a lot of you are saying, oh, how can Overwatch be a shit game? But it is. You see lots and lots of Overwatch YouTubers basically leaving Overwatch. They're not Overwatch YouTubers anymore. They're doing other stuff because Overwatch is really frustrating, right? This has been going on for like some time now. I even had Seagull make a great video about the state of Overwatch. He echoed a lot of my own thoughts, which were basically, well, I mean, you know, there's toxicity and all that stuff, but the game is frustrating. One of the things he said in his video, I'm pretty sure, was about how 63% of King of the Hill maps are won by the team that wins the first team fight, because that's just the way ults work. Ults are just broken in Overwatch. They break the game. The game is broken by ults. And the reason for this is that ults are a win more. And what I mean by that is that when you win more means, you know, you win more, right? They're snowball. Overwatch is so snowbally because ults are just so powerful, right? So when you win the first team fight, not only have you killed the enemy team and taken control of the objective, but you have your ults because you've done more damage than them, presumably, right? So that means you can win the next team fight as well. And if you manage your ultimates correctly, then you'll still have enough ults to like continue winning the next team fight and the next team fight, right? Now, obviously, this isn't how everything goes because this is only like 63%, but that's still heaps. That's way too much. And for the enemy team, the team that's on the receiving end of this is so frustrating because you are so far behind. When the enemy team has an ult advantage, you are really far behind. And on the flip side of that, if you're on a team that does have an ult advantage and then your teammates waste it, right? Just say, you know, there's a Zarya Graviton and like Pharah uses her ult and McCree uses his ult. Well, that's unnecessary, right? So you've used an ultimate that could have won you another team fight. And so you're losing your major advantage. That's really frustrating. Now, so let's just put that in a box. Added to this is the thing that everybody has probably realized by now is that you need your team comp to counter the enemy team. Overwatch has a lot of counter picks now, which is, as Seagull said, really frustrating. It's bad. It is bad game design for an FPS when you have counter picks like that. Counter picks are different from counter play. Like counter play, as Seagull said in his video, what is things like, you know, McCree versus Reinhardt, where, you know, McCree wants to throw his flashbang over Reinhardt's shield, but Reinhardt knows this, so he'll try to tilt his shield up, right? Which means that McCree might like then try to throw his flashbang down in order to get it under the shield, right? So you got this kind of counter play, right? Because the things that make you win that engagement are the way you play, not who you were picked. Then you have, of course, Brigitte. And Brigitte is ridiculous. Most of my friends who play Overwatch have heard this a couple of times now. Brigitte is a ridiculous hero that shows just how much Blizzard is struggling to design games, right? The problem with Brigitte is that she has too many tools. And what I mean by tools is like every hero has a kit, and the kit consists of like tools, right? In a design sense. So, for example, Soldier 76, right? He's got ranged like damage, he's got a heal, and he's got mobility, right? And and he's got like a bit of burst with his rockets. That's it. That is Soldier 76. So that's like four things. Yeah. Brigitte has 8. Brigitte has 8 things she can do, which is mind-boggling. Right now, I know she's been nerfed a bit now. Not that I'm playing that much anymore, right? But she's got 8 things she can do, which is so much. It's more than like any other 2 heroes, put them together, and none of them have as much like versatility in their kit. They don't have as many tools in their kit as Brigitte does. It's insane, right? And that's bad game design, because it's like, well, how do we make this hero good? Let's just give them everything. So Brigitte has, you know, she's got her shield, her stun, a wide cleave, heal, armor, dash, a range finisher, which is also a push. That's soft CC, right? That's 8 things. That's insane. No hero should have that. It's not healthy for the game, as everybody obviously knows by now, right? Another example of this is Blaze from Heroes of the Storm. He's a tank character, so it's not quite as egregious, but he's got like too many things he can do, right? He's got pretty much everything you'd want a hero to have except like a nuke, right? Because he's got like basically he's got like an AoE kind of attack on all of his attacks. He's got mobility, he's got self-sustain, he's got AoE slow, he's got a stun, he's got a gap closer, and his ults are pretty good too, right? So that's a lot of stuff for a MOBA hero to have, especially since lots of those are on the same ability, right? Like you see that even more with Ophelia. Like Ophelia is this bonkers hero who has that same philosophy. All her things do too much. If you haven't played Heroes of the Storm, Ophelia's big deal is that she has self-sustain, amping damage, and she has like tons of mobility on her damage abilities. So when she hits you, she also moves, so it's really hard to hit her, right? And she's got like massive cleave and like big AoE, big repeating damage. It's just crazy, right? But back to Overwatch, right? So we've got ults are a problem. The more recent hero design is a problem, and of course there's ranked. And the thing that was like fucked about ranked, the thing that's just the reason I actually stopped playing Overwatch is that it was possible in ranked to rank up while having a like kind of sub 50% win rate with your hero, like with your main, I mean. And you might say, oh, why is that bad, right? I mean, you don't have to like win. You don't have to depend on other people, which is like, yeah, you don't. And that's kind of nice, except that that's toxic. That's toxic because what it means is the mind-boggling thing about Overwatch is that you want to switch your heroes up to counter the enemy heroes, but you were punished for doing so. You were punished beyond belief for changing heroes because, one, you're not as good with the hero you're changing to, likely, because the hero you've started on is likely your main, right? So there's that. Next, you lose all ult charge, right? You lose the ult charge you have gained. And as I said before, ults are the big deal in Overwatch. So changing is really, really bad for you from that perspective. And it doesn't matter, like, if you have 100% ult, if you have your ult, right, you are in this terrible situation if you are a hero that's being countered, because you can say, oh, I want to use my ult, but using your ult may take you like another 3 lives, right? It might take you like another 3 minutes for you to use your ult, right? And I've seen this happen in games, right? There might be a tracer who's getting like shat upon, but they've got their ult, and they say, oh, I'm going to use my ult and change. But using their ult, getting into a position where they can hit people with their pulse bomb just doesn't happen because they are being countered, right? And of course they don't want to change it. Who wants to change it when you got your ult? Nobody does. And even if you do, you're still in like a terrible situation because, hey, now you don't have an ult. So there's that. So, there's that punishment. And there's also the punishment of like, the whole metric thing with ranked, right? Because obviously, if you were best on your hero, you want to stay on the hero you were best on because then you get the best stats, and stats determine how much you rank up, right? Or how much MMR you lose. Because, obviously if you do really well in a match and you lose less MMR, right? And that's toxic as well, because what that means, it means that the Hanzo on your team, who kind of isn't really doing that much to help the team, but he's getting a lot of kills or a lot of damage, right? He's doing the right thing according to the system. He's padding his stats to hell, right? That means he will not lose that much MMR when you inevitably lose that game. He's doing the right thing according to the system. That's terrible. And then, of course, as Seagull said in his video, when you are on a team and someone on your team is being countered, right, it feels bad for you because it's like, well, we could be doing better if just this person would change, right? And you also don't know how well someone's doing anyway because you can't see stats. You can only see your own. And that's the whole big meme about, oh, but I've got gold damage. It's like, well, yeah, it doesn't matter. Overwatch is toxic. Right? It's this whole confluence of events, of game design choices that has made the community toxic. The game makes people toxic. It is like MOBAs in that sense, except it's kind of worse than MOBAs because there's no payoff. Where's the payoff to Overwatch, right? At least you can have like good games in MOBAs. Like you can get a team of people together and it'll be okay, because you're all working together and you can still kind of have fun while you're losing. You can have close games. In Overwatch, close games don't feel as good because you can get countered right at the start. And then you can say, sure, in Overwatch, you can still change heroes, but in MOBAs you can't. Well, in MOBAs, you can build items to adapt to your situation. In Overwatch, you are punished for adapting to your situation. Sure, you can change up, maybe your gameplay, but fundamentally, you can't have you can't use the game mechanics to adapt. The game mechanics are fighting you when you try to adapt to your opponents. And that is that's a mind-boggling design decision, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I don't think the Blizzard devs really realize this. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm not sure. But from my perspective, it's really obvious now that I've given it thought, right? Anyway, I hope you found this informative, but I think Overwatch is it's doomed. The game is bad, and they're never going to change. Ults need to be toned down. I'll continue. Ults need to be changed, and this is how I would change ults, right? We've already got an example of this, I think, from what I've been told of Black Ops 4, right? Where you've got these abilities that kind of enhance you. Ults should just enhance you. They shouldn't be these team fight winning things like they are now. Ults are so bursty, they're so quick, they're so sudden, they're so strong that, you get the 63% or whatever it is, right? So what should they be? What should an ult be? Well, let's just take Zarya as an example. Graviton Surge is super strong. But what should it be? Well, let's say, as a thought experiment, when you activated Zarya's ult, it was a duration-based thing that made Zarya's shields have a shorter cooldown and made her beam pierce, right? So now you've got a hero it's doing what she does better. You could also make the beam, maybe impart a slow, call it Graviton Beam or something, right? So now she's still kind of doing what she could do before, but she does it better. And she still kind of CCs with her ult, right? And it's great, right? She's tankier, she's, more effective for the short duration. And she's not this thing which is just your team's fucked. You're in the Graviton Surge, Pharah's ulting you, you're dead. It's now this ability which enhances her and you can play around it, right? And Pharah, let's say Pharah, what should it be instead of Justice Rains from Above? Just make her rocket reload faster, make her jetpack reload much faster, regenerate much faster too. So she becomes like Mercy kind of was in Valkyrie, right? Where she can just kind of fly around a bit easier and just shoot rockets down. That's something you can play around because it's probably it might even be a buff to Pharah, right? But it need tweaking, whatever. But it's something you can play around because you can get behind cover, you can do things about that. What other things could there be? I don't know. Sombra might be okay, potentially, right? Because if ults aren't such a big deal, not having your ult isn't as a big deal as well. Other heroes, what could you do? McCree. I'm not sure what you could do about McCree. There's potentially other things there. Back to why ults are overpowered for a moment. They have no cooldown. They come up as fast as you can generate them, and that's not enough. If you look at MOBAs, right, like LoL, like Dota, even like Heroes of the Storm, ults are these things which have these cooldowns, and the stronger they are, generally, the longer cooldown they have. So let's take Enigma from Dota. Enigma has this ability called Black Hole, which is kind of like Graviton Surge, except it completely stuns you, right? And that's really strong. You can get a whole team in this if they're within the radius. It's a kind of moderately large radius, right? So that ability, which does damage and stuns, it's a little bit of damage, right? And the kind of stun disable, long duration stun disable is on a 180-second cooldown. So pretty much no matter what you do, that ability is going to be up every 180 seconds and no sooner, right? You don't get it up faster by winning team fights, right? You can't farm it into being faster apart from, Now, Dota nerds will, in fact, say that, yes, you can farm it into being faster if you buy this one item, but that one item is very expensive and you don't build an Enigma, right? Because it's not really worth it, right? Yeah, so that's why Overwatch is fucked. The game needs to fundamentally change, and it is not going to fundamentally change because that's what Overwatch is. Overwatch is about these flashy ults, even though the flashy ults are killing the game. It's about like these kind of things, which are just bad. Right? Overwatch has no items, and that means that it doesn't have one of the important adaptations that a lot of other hero-based games do. Right? There's not much that can be really done about that, as far as I can see. I mean, sure, you can do things, but Blizzard won't. It's not going to happen.